Mr. Heidt, welcome back. If you would, have you start out by telling us a little bit about yourself and tell us why you'd like to be a circuit judge.
Most definitely. Before telling you a little bit about myself and for hopefully some questions and getting caught up in those and forgetting, but I wanted to thank you for the time and effort you're putting into the process. It's an important decision you're making, and I think in the application I referenced the fact that serving as a judge is one of the highest callings for our legal profession, and of course your role is huge in that process, so thank you. Some of you know me, some of you do not. My name is Wesley Heidt, as the application says, and I'm applying for the opening for the 7th Circuit. And hopefully you're looking for someone with experience, someone with who's a good lawyer, a very good lawyer, and as the application says, I may be rated. I'm board certified. I've been AD rated and board certified since 1997. I've been with the Attorney General's office since 1993, and in my legal career I've had the opportunity to argue cases and handle cases at every level of court that the system offers. I've handled cases in Florida trial courts, thousands of cases in the district courts of appeal, argued cases, probably about a dozen cases in the Florida Supreme Court, handled cases and bench trials up in the federal trial court, had the opportunity to argue in the 11th Circuit up in Atlanta, and handled cases up in the U.S. Supreme Court. So if you're looking for someone with experience and a good lawyer, yeah, I fit that requirement, but it's sort of your starting point. A judge should be a good lawyer, but again, it should be more. And hopefully it's looking for someone with administrative experience, someone with leadership in their background. How do you know if they have that? Look at what they've done. The Bureau Chief of the Attorney General's office. What does that mean? I run one of the largest legal offices in the circuit. We have 18 attorneys in our section, and about 10 staff. We have a separate capital division, but our section of the office handles first-degree murder cases down to juvenile appeals. And I have 18 attorneys that do that. As Bureau Chief, my responsibility is everything that comes from an office. We have supplies, hiring, disciplining, evaluating. We do evaluations twice a year. I just finished those yesterday in April. You're here today and didn't want that distraction, but did evaluations. Been Bureau Chief since 2008. Case assignment is one of the roles of making sure the attorneys match up with the cases that I give them. Before becoming Bureau Chief, I was an Assistant Bureau Chief since 2000, so almost 15 years of administrative experience. Leadership, I'm very active in my community. I served as the Volusia Bar, very active there. I was going to be Volusia Bar President. Taught at Daytona State for about 10 years. Trial judges have pro se litigants in front of them on a regular basis. Taught constitutional law and being able to take a complex issue and reducing it down to something that they can understand and identify with is one of the goals of a good judge. Also active in my church and serve on various committees there, including staff parish, which in the United Methodist Church is the Human Resource Personnel Committee, and had some tough roles there. Most recently, I've kind of buried myself into local baseball in New Smyrna. Got 3 sons, and about a year and a half ago we formed a nonprofit to run the city league. Elected to serve as president and been president of that for 2 years now. We had 500 kids go through the program last year, about a $65,000 budget. So it's what seemed like a good idea at the time, maybe the most challenging of the things I volunteered for, but between coaches and umpires and parents and kids, it's been a learning process there too. But hopefully, again, you're looking for good lawyers, someone with experience, with administrative and leadership skills that you see in an application. So.
What do you think it takes to move a very busy docket forward to keep it current?
To move a docket forward, I think you need someone who's good with the law. I mean, again, the judge is the administrator of that courtroom. So if you have someone that's either knows the law, has the experience of being an administrator, if you don't, no one knows all the law, but if you don't know it, you can find it and apply it. I mean, when you look at what a judge's role is, is to make that ruling quickly and decisively, and that's exactly the experience that being in the Attorney General's office is giving me.
Your application references speaking at the basic appellate CLA, and that was something that I'm a co-chair invited you to do for young lawyers. And I thought you did a really nice job of taking the complexities of criminal appellate practice and making those sort of basic for newly admitted lawyers to understand. How would you deal with new lawyers practicing before you and pro se litigants practicing before you who do not fully understand all the complexities of the proceedings they may be in?
First of all, thank you. I've spoken at a lot of seminars, and it's something I enjoy doing. As far as young lawyers, I hire young lawyers regularly in our office, and part of my requirement as bureau chief is to help train them. We court them, we mentor them through the briefs, so it's something I'm used to. In the courtroom, when we deal with pro se people, again, I taught 10 years at Daytona State. I took some of the most complex issues that we have. I enjoy constitutional law, not everyone does, but to take that kind of concept and to take it to someone without a legal background and try to simplify it where they can understand it. And judging from most of the feedback I got from the students, they thoroughly enjoyed the class and actually made it something that applied, and simplified something they always thought would be boring again. So that experience, dealing with inexperienced lawyers and pro se people.
And at the other end of the spectrum, maybe, I was sort of interested that you did work on the Casey Anthony case, the appellate portion of that case. How was it being involved in a high-profile case and that additional scrutiny of you and your office?
I've handled a lot of high-profile cases. Probably legally, the most high-profile case I've handled was Middle District declared the Florida drug statute unconstitutional. Facially, which meant every drug conviction. When I was actually on vacation when that case occurred, and it was handled by another attorney in our office, and when I got the news on vacation, I said, I'll be back in 2 days and handle that, and then my phone blew up, and I came back early, and lived on the phone for the next couple of days. And I mean, even down in Miami, there was a first appearance judge. You're thinking, well, first of all, it's a federal court. And somebody said, well, is this binding on the state court? And I said, no, it's not. The federal court is persuasive, but it's not binding. Next thing you know, some Miami judge is trying to turn people loose on just drug arrest from the weekend. It's like, okay, guys, let's stop this, and then we got to stay and move forward. But, I argued that up in the 11th and convinced the Federal Circuit Court that the district court was wrong. It's not facially unconstitutional. That being said, that didn't get me over the scrutiny of the Casey Anthony type case, and I handled that on the pretrial. As bureau chief, I'm responsible for who gets to handle what case. On the pretrial, she was initially held without bond, and they filed a habeas, which is a pleading saying, please let me out, and I was trying to argue that we were properly holding her with no bond whatsoever in the charges. Interesting argument. We won, but when that case came in, I said, if I sign with someone else, I'm going to have to be asking them constantly what's going on because of Tallahassee's input anyway, so I'm not supposed to sign it to myself. And then when the appeal came through, and we simply had 4 misdemeanors, you would think that the attention would die down. Of such luck, I walked out of the courtroom over the 5th, which is, if anybody's gone over to the 5th, some people here have, but it's not a court that's used to a lot of publicity, but it was packed with the media and the attention that comes with that, and I've never seen anything quite like that. But I enjoy it. I enjoy the challenge, and if the argument's online, and Judge Torpy, one of the judges at the 5th, enjoyed it. I think questioning the custody battle, but that's what we do, and that's what the circuit court does, is you can't really pick and choose what case is going to be before you. As simple as, sadly, someone drives in the ocean on the weekend or something, and you have something like that happen. It's just what the court does and what the Attorney General does. So I've had the experience of handling complex cases and I actually enjoy it.
Let me ask you, you're interested in constitutional history, relevant history, and I'm interested in your perspective in who you would hold up as maybe your favorite United States Supreme Court justice, and why would that? What is it about them that you admire?
Good question.
Not current, can be historical.
Well, I mean, my undergraduate major was history and emphasis on constitutional development, and it's not as much for his John Marshall with what he, we have 3 co-equal branches, and to come into the situation of not knowing, I used to go round and round with my history professor about who was the most influential president, and we would go, and he said, without George Washington setting the precedent, there would, he's the one that did this first, he's the one that did that first, and even though Marshall wasn't the first justice, he was the first justice to move the court forward and say, hey, we're a separate co-equal branch. And Albright versus Madison, some of the things that he did there from a constitutional standpoint are fascinating and gives us the court we have today.
Wesley, I was one that was vetting you personally, and one question that came up during my vetting process was the fact that you never had a jury trial. How would you respond to that?
A couple answers. When you look at the circuit bench, a lot of what the circuit court does has nothing to do with jury trials. Family, juvenile, civil is more and more driven by mediation and resolution before you get to a jury trial. So in some ways, jury trial experience is arguably overrated. When you're looking at choosing a judge and looking with attributes and qualities make a good judge, there are trial attorneys who can be a good judge, but there's not similar characteristics. An attorney, a very good trial attorney, is an advocate, and he pushes the envelope and goes in one direction. The judge, again, is that person that takes the back seat as the administrator. I have trial experience. I've reviewed thousands of trials. I know what makes reversible error. I know what landmines to avoid. And from an efficiency standpoint, picking a judge and choosing a judge who hopefully doesn't stumble their way through it and again have reversible error would be something you would want from a judge. Knowing the law, I did 10 years of civil forfeitures for the highway patrol, so I would file a complaint out in the circuit court. If they didn't respond, I did a motion for default, and we did discovery and did several bench final hearings, final trials, and that resolved with calling the witnesses and direct and cross-examination. So I've got the trial experience, and knowing the law, I think would compensate for that.
You listed that you had, in the last 5 years, the percentage of your appearance in court, you put 25% other. What other?
When you look at the, and I don't remember exactly how that is phrased, but if it's the one I'm thinking about, it's a little bit confusing, but administrator, I'm bureau chief, so I do, oral arguments, and some of the questions are set up for the trial, but I'm here in court, do the bench trials in the federal court, but probably administrative is that reference.
Your supervisory role, I know that's I'm sure a joy unto itself, is supervising an office full of attorneys. How would you think that supervisory experience would benefit you in a circuit judge position?
Well, and again, that's a circuit judge. When I came, I did 4.5 years as a staff attorney, and I had the experience of drafting, helping draft orders, and sitting back watching judges and watching what makes a good judge and what makes a not as good judge, and you learn from both. So coming into administration and encouraging the attorneys to, back to the earlier question of how do you guide other attorneys, how do you guide any attorney? The court is the administrator of that courtroom, and knowing what qualities move that case forward and be able to make that legal decision, but keep that document moving. There's no doubt that administrative experience helps that. One of my co-workers described managing 18 attorneys is kind of like herding cats, and, like a common phrase, but if trying to boss attorneys who are an expert in everything, evidently, sometimes challenge unto itself. But, I've always seen my goal there is trying to get the most out of it through case assignments, and, making sure that if argument may not be the greatest strength, but a great leading writer, give them cases that emphasize that, or constitutional law, if that's their strength, give them something that emphasizes that. We did some white-collar crime, people with a civil background, give them cases that emphasize that. But that's what, as a bureau chief, I did the one case that's going to potentially blow up assigned to myself. So, as a bureau chief, I make those administrative decisions that the court makes on a daily basis.
Let me make an observation and tell me your response to it. I'm not sure there's a right or wrong answer by any means, but no doubt your experience has been very extensive, but it's been in the appellate area, which you've been very successful at, which I think actually qualifies you for the DCA more than anything else. But my observation is that trial judges, in all law, everybody comes in here and says, I want to follow the law and I want that. My experience has always been that a circuit judge, basically, rather than having to follow the law, so to speak, is that their main job is being fact finders, which is totally different than what you've been involved in. I mean, a set of facts come to you in the Attorney General's office. But the finding of the facts is the difficult part in the circuit court. What's your observation of something like that?
Well, no doubt that the facts to some degree come to us. The judge's role in the trial court is to take those facts as presented by both sides and apply the law to those facts. And what better preparation for that than the experience of the Attorney General's office? Admittedly, two friends of mine, but two current judges who have primarily the same experience that I do, Judge David Foxman and Judge Schuman on the county bench, whose primary resume was coming out of the Attorney General's office, hit the ground running with the high volume, even higher volume that comes in county court, and were successful. And part of that, that goes back to the administrative skills of judging people, judging facts, the leadership skills that I've been involved in the extra community activities. When you look at something as diverse as the Bar Association and lawyers electing their leader, church, and again, baseball with their kids involved, and as to certain leadership, I'm involved in fact-finding on a regular basis, important facts. So some of those roles I get in activities outside of the Attorney General's office, but being able to take facts and apply the law is what we do on a regular basis.
Has the Seventh Circuit sent you out before to the governor?
I've applied previously and been sent up previously for county court the last couple of times, and the committee's been kind enough to recommend me. Admittedly, lucky here, I'm working in the governor's office, but first time applying for circuit position.
Anyone else? Wesley, thanks for coming in this afternoon. We'll let everyone know by the end of the day tomorrow.
Again,
Thank you.